Morning everyone, and welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we discuss all things entrepreneurship and running. It is a windy, fresh, very cold morning. It feels like -2 out here today, so it's very cold, windy conditions, not ideal for running, but I'm here anyway. And today is Thursday Tales, where we discuss past experiences in business. And today's topic is about being a leader, not a manager. So as always, if you like this video, please give it a like and a subscribe, and let's get started. So, what do we mean by being a leader as opposed to a manager? What's the actual difference? Okay, now there's lots of different ways you can kind of look at this, but I think this analogy works really, really well. And this is, before I get to give you the analogy, it's something that I've made a mistake hugely in my past business experiences, in that although my relatively short corporate life, I progressed relatively quickly in medical sales, into account management, into looking after some pretty important accounts for the business, but I never really touched on management. I had some very, very limited kind of trial-based managerial tasks, like doing some interviews and trying to sort people out in that regard, and also onboarding people into the business, that type of thing. So it's pretty low key, significant managerial experience. My experience in kind of leading teams and managing teams came more when I ventured into the entrepreneurial world. I started finding kind of partners, business partners to work with, and even though they may be an equal, in any partnership you need to have somebody who's taking a more leadership based position in terms of who's going to lead and be the kind of visionary of the business, who's going to have the vision, who's going to have the strategy. And it always seems to have been myself, mainly because I suppose that's where my kind of strengths lie, more in vision, structure, systems, plans, how to get there. Strategy is kind of one of my strong points. But what comes with that is the situation where you have to, I'm going to use the word manage, but I don't mean it in this type, but manage people. I don't mean it in management format, but I mean you have to manage the expectation of leading or managing people. And it's if you have limited experience, inevitably you're going to make mistakes, and that's something that I've done on numerous occasions. So I'll start by giving you an analogy, then I'll give you some experiences that I've had and where I've got this wrong, and now what I'm doing more to try and put it right. And the analogy is, if you take your troops into battle, so if you're in an army and you send your troops into battle, and you're one of your troops are getting fired at, a manager will be the first to run onto the battlefield and help the wounded, the first to get out there. The leaders will be the ones that will be running on and will be taking a bullet for their team. And I think there's a lot to be said, and you can interpret that in many different ways. But the leader is somebody who will lead and inspire people for the greater cause, whereas managers just try and manage people to do a role. And this is just my interpretation of it. I think there's several different ways you can do it, but it's something to think about. So we'll come back to this in a minute. But onto kind of past experiences where I've got this horribly wrong. Well, I think I've had 2 business partnership failures. However you slice and dice it, if you're in business with somebody else and you're taking a more leadership, visionary type position, if that partnership has failed, you have to take it upon yourself and take responsibility for that. Okay, it takes 2 to tango in that role, but if you are in the leading, strategic, visionary position, one of them I was in, one of them I wasn't. So I've been in both sides of the equation. And the one that I was leading, it's all on me. The fact that the partner in question, conducted themselves in an unscrupulous and dishonest manner, is still on me. I should have, because I've beating myself up over this over the years. And I think, what could I have done different? Because this guy was a brother to me for 10 years, and I knew his family. We've been through everything, thick and thin together, and there were some things that changed in his life which made him make some poor decisions. Ultimately, I'm not going to go into the detail of that at this moment in time. I may do in the future, but nonetheless, I take that responsibility that I should have identified it, I should have seen, I should have supported, I should have provided a more detailed vision or more clarity on where we're going, that it should have given the confidence of this partner to keep on the path, because we would get there rather than him having to take kind of action himself. And I think that's really, really important. The second one was it was my recent business partnership failure with systems and outsourcing, and although my partner was the one who took the CEO role position and was trying to do the leading and direction, I was disagreeing with some of the actions and the decisions that we made. That doesn't mean to say I was right and my partner was wrong, or he was right and I was wrong. But the way I managed that situation, I kind of resisted and created more kind of obstacles, as opposed to subconsciously. I wasn't consciously aware of doing this, I might add, but still I was resisting the direction that was being pushed upon me. And when I look back on it, there was probably so many different ways I could have handled it, which may have resulted in that partnership continuing. However, I look at where we are now, and I'm sure my ex-business partner, who was still on very good terms, would say the same, that it was the best decision to be made for us to go our separate ways. Certainly from my side, and I'm more than convinced it will be from his. So that's something that kind of ended okay, but still, you always analyse the way you kind of deal with things. I look at my experience in business, where I've had 9 members of staff in my property business at one point. I know that's down to about 4. And I look at all of the members of staff that have come and gone, and I look at my experiences and that, and I think I've been micromanaging them, or managing them, or poorly managing them for them to leave. I haven't been leading them, and that's something that is hard to take, and it's really hard. You can't be a good leader overnight. And what I try and do now, very, very differently, is I try and be an inspiration. I'm not saying I am by any stretch, but I'm trying to be. Okay, it's two very different ways of looking at it. I try and create a very, very clear vision and get the buy-in from everybody who's joining me and working with me on my journey. Unfortunately, the kind of labour turnover rate has reduced significantly over the years. I now have a team that I work with. I think we're about 13, 14 members at the moment. And okay, there are some personal issues that we're undertaking at the moment, but I've had to take a leadership position in resolving them. And it's the same analogy that Sir Alex Ferguson's. I talk about this all the time. It's so windy, excuse me, and it's so cold. About Sir Alex Ferguson, getting rid of some of his superstars in the Manchester United dressing room at their peak of their game, because they overstepped the mark, they questioned his leadership, and if he was in danger of losing the dressing room, or the team, or the company in this instance, he had to make a pretty decisive action to remedy that. So he did sell on these individuals at the top of their game and rebuild with people who were in line with his vision, in line with where he's going. Now that to me is amazing leadership, and that's what I'm aspiring to be. So whatever happens with the personnel in the business at the moment, if we lose, I'm not saying I want control. I've got to turn back into it now. Into the headwind. It's really cold. If I lose belief that the team have got a clear vision of where we're going and they've bought into it, then changes do need to be made, and I need to identify that, because sometimes you can recruit or bring the wrong people into the business, and when I look back, maybe I've done that on more than one occasion. So it's kind of inspiring people to be part of the journey. It's like the Greatest Showman, one of my favourite films, I'm not afraid to admit. absolutely love that story about the journey, the highs and lows of someone following their dreams. And you know, if you look at his wife, P.T. Barnum's wife, the fact that she wanted to be part of his dreams, and she bought into that, and then, you know, it turned out that her and the family was his real dream, and it took him a long time to kind of realise that, but it was the ability to buy into someone else's dream and make it your own, and that's what a good leader can do. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the team of people now. I'm really trying to empower them. Empowerment is a massive word here, because in the past I've been a micromanager, and micromanaging people is counterproductive, and it can also demoralise people. You know, you're like clipping their wings, and I felt perhaps in my previous business that I was maybe micromanaged, in that I didn't have the freedom to express myself in the ways that I wanted to, and I know how demoralising that was for me. So I need to be mindful of that with the people I'm working with, and that's something that, I mean, Josh Keegan, the guy who's I'm following the profit process, he talks about the importance of empowering team. You know, my ex-business partner, Steve Day, talks about empowerment with teams, and it's something that it takes a lot of practice to get better at, because it's trusting, it's letting go of that control element, but it's trusting people to empower them to take on projects, empower them to deliver on things, and support them if something's going wrong. Jump in and kind of take the lead to kind of inspire them and give them advice. Don't just micromanage them, nitpicking everything that they're doing. You know, it's like a battlefield analogy. Don't jump in and help them when they're wounded. See what's happening, see what strategy they're doing. If it's not the strategy that's going to work, jump in and help them develop that strategy, then come away. So you're leading them rather than managing them. And I think that's so important. So hopefully this has given you enough to think about. I mean, ultimately, as I've said, you can interpret these words in so many different ways, but hopefully the underlying message is a clear one. It's about, you know, you now understand the differences between leading and managing, and I think that's really important to learn. And if you want to build a scalable business, you've only got the capacity to manage a certain number of people. If you want to build a big business empire, you need to turn from being a manager into a leader. So, if I was going to summarise this episode in a handful of points, what's the difference between being a leader and a manager? Well, let's use the battlefield analogy again. You know, if a troop goes out to battle and gets injured, the manager will be the first to be on site to help them. A leader will be the one that will take the bullet for them. And I think that's a super powerful message. I think number two, leaders have people that buy into their dreams, not just manage people to fulfill a role. I think that's a really, really important side of things. And the third thing I would say is that leaders empower people to take ownership of projects, to make a massive difference to the business, to the journey, to the dream, to the strategy. Whereas managers, again, will often just give lesser roles, and the manager themselves will take on those more empowering positions, which is something that needs to change. So, hope that's useful. Sorry if it's a bit waffly and a bit windy today. My face is numb, so I'm slowing my words. But I hope that's been useful. So, as always, if you've got any questions on this stuff, drop me a comment. I'll respond to everyone. If it's a bigger topic, I'll still respond, but I'll do a separate vlog episode and tag you in. If this is not for you or it's irrelevant to you, just unfollow on your social feeds. No problem whatsoever. But before you go, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube Runpreneur channel, whereby all these full-length vlog episodes are catalogued nice and neatly by topic. We do a different topic every day, so it's a completely free resource. So please make sure you're in that YouTube channel, where you can dip in and out of hopefully topics that will be relevant to you at some point in the future. And also check out the Runpreneur Facebook group, where all of the free resources for the vlog are hosted. Our first one's just been released, which is our 70-step checklist for how to repurpose your social media content. So it's about repurposing, reformatting and optimizing across each platform to be omnipresent. So if you are someone who wants to get more content out there, again, completely free, hopefully that will really help you on your journey. And all that's left to say is that the Runpreneur vlog was set up to help entrepreneurs, business owners overcome those emotions of stress, anxiety and overwhelm by using exercise, and in my case running, as a mechanism, a release mechanism to control, manage and thrive under these emotions that every single entrepreneur and business owner experiences. And it can often be the difference between success and failure of how well that entrepreneur deals with these emotions. The ones that do it well have a release valve. They relieve the pressure, they maintain clarity, they maintain focus, they can manage the workload and they thrive and move on to bigger and better things. The ones that don't have a release mechanism, the pressure builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. Entrepreneurial pride kicks in where you're too scared to ask for help and then something breaks. And that's usually one of two things. It's either the entrepreneur or the business. Unfortunately, either or is often terminal to the likelihood of your business lasting the test of time. So now I've been there, just going to go past these people quickly. Just bear with me. Morning. Oh. Morning. So I've been there, I've had multiple failed businesses, failed business partnerships. I felt the weight on my shoulders for my family, for me, for my business, and I've been in entrepreneurial pride mode where I've bottled it all up, and as a result I've lost so much, and it's a horrendous place to be. And I only feel now that I have these new kind of processes and systems in my life that allow me to manage these things far better, and as a result I'm moving forward at a quicker pace than I've ever moved. I've got more opportunities than I've ever had, and things are looking really exciting for the future. So my pledge to you is, if you are one of these entrepreneurs struggling, just reach out, drop me a message. I've had entrepreneurs do this already, and I'm sure I've already helped them get back on their feet and move towards their success milestone. So don't struggle with entrepreneurial pride. Understand that the help is there, and it's just a message away. There's no catch to this at all. I'm not going to be selling you anything, no nothing. All I want to do is help, because I've always said, if this vlog saves just one entrepreneur or one business, it's been 1,000,000% worthwhile. So I'm just running past someone. Morning, Merry Christmas, how are you? And all that's left to say is, remember, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you want to see similar content, please check out the playlist link. And all that's left is to leave you with, stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.